It has been exactly 10 days since finishing my 10,000 steps per day challenge, which I finished on the 18th of January. If you want to watch that video about my last day, then you can check that out right here. However, now after 10 days of not having to do 10,000 steps every single day, I want to check in with you, talk about what it changed or how I am feeling now, as well as a little bit more about why I started that challenge and what the whole process was like over the course of the year, how I felt in different stages. Now, for starters, I can definitely say that now not having this challenge anymore was a relief. It made life so much more restful instead of having to do those 10,000 steps every day in the last year. I felt driven in some regard, but at the same time, this was also extremely exhausting, and there were so many days where I just didn't want to do it. But let's start at the beginning. Why did I want to do this challenge in the first place? Now, it all started with the idea that I could actually do more walking while working when I am working at my standing desk, and I get more movement in and potentially even use the standing desk more by having that option available. And with that idea in mind, Nicole and I actually purchased this treadmill, which is an electronic treadmill, which I was able to fit under my desk. And Nicole would also be able to do her indoor running on this treadmill when there is rain outside and there's just not so much fun going outdoors. And so that's how it all kind of got started. I used this treadmill under my desk, and I oftentimes cleared over 20,000 steps easily with that combination. And that's also how I started in this app. If I go back all the way to the beginning for the tracking, you can see that I downloaded this app on the 2nd of January, and then on the 8th of January is where the treadmill first was delivered. So then 2 days in a row, I immediately did almost 10,000 steps, and then another probably weekend or some kind of a gathering or something, and then 5 days constantly doing 29,000, 15,000, 16, 27, 14,000, and then one break, which was kind of breaking my neck later on, because that actually meant that my streak for the 365 days started actually on the 18th, and I could have had it start on the 12th of January, but that was a misconception of mine. So then I continued using this method with the electronic treadmill under my desk for a long time. And then, of course, also started doing more and more walking outside and actually also incorporating that into my daily routine. However, a couple months later, I also got the Walkolution, which I have videos about, and I will link those also here in the card and in the description below, so you can check those out. That's a manual treadmill and a different approach. And that actually was a possibility for me to test this out and use this for making these videos about the treadmill, but also use it for my own challenge. And that's how that came to be. Now, daily exercise or daily walking is a great thing in general. I think that's pretty clear. However, how do you get that into your day when you are in a job where you are sitting a lot, for example, for video editing or programming or answering emails and all of those kind of things? And that's kind of where all of this came from to begin with. I'm not someone who likes or really enjoys going to the gym or even doing home workouts. That's a real, I don't know, it's not really a joy for me. So this challenge kind of started out of this idea that I can do this while I am doing my work anyways, and so that's a great fit. It also was a less painful entry into moving more outside, because usually, in my head at least, I had this thought that I would always have to go for a run. And this kind of reframed this whole concept into, well, why not start with just going for a walk instead of having to go for a run? Now, I might look like I'm really athletic. However, I could probably look much more athletic if I would actually also do something. So I'm blessed in that regard. But nonetheless, I need to train my heart anyways. I need to be in movement more. And I'm also noticing that I can't just eat as much as I was used to in the last few years. And I have to really keep an eye on that. Combining that with all the not movement that I had in 2020, this 2021 challenge was really something that was born out of wanting to move more, learning how I can make something so easy that I can actually just go out and do it, something that is not as painful, and also something that is not just sucking the joy out of every experience. And so I came up with walking, because there I don't have to strain myself as much, and also I can listen to podcasts and have a learning experience while I would do, for example, outdoor walks. This also was great for the relationship with Nicole, because that also gave us an opportunity to go outside more often together and go, for example, have a walk around the lake that is nearby or the park that we have here in Hof. So those are really great opportunities that this challenge has provided. But it also came with a huge challenge, and of course also some times where I didn't really want to do it. This kind of came in waves. Sometimes I felt that it is really easy to do those 10,000 steps, and sometimes it was incredibly annoying. The good times were often when I either had little to do and was really easygoing with going outside and having that freedom. Then also it was really easy to do those 10,000 steps when I had work that was easily done on the treadmill, like for example just light email answering, as well as video editing and podcast editing that I was doing throughout the year. So those were really easy. However, the days where it was incredibly hard were the ones where I knew I would have to spend a lot of time, for example here in the studio, to film stuff. Because obviously I can't walk while I am filming, so I have to do the walking in addition to the whole workday. This is also true oftentimes when I was doing any kind of programming, because for me, programming oftentimes involves sitting down because I want to be rested and I want to be able to kind of clear my head in between and not be in constant movement. I noticed that while programming, I oftentimes stopped walking when I needed to think about something, which is kind of counterintuitive, because oftentimes I think that when you walk, you actually have more blood flow going, and that also helps with that. But the coordination of typing or having this very logical and very clear-cut language that you have to put on the screen, having to read that, also having to do research in between, and then also typing the code, that was a tough, let's say, that environment to also get your steps in. So on those days where it was filming or programming, I had a tough time to get those steps, and I needed to add it to my pensum of work. And so that was when it came to those moments where it became more and more of a struggle, because if I do multiple days of that, then it's kind of weird, because I feel like I can't get enough done in the day, because I also have those 1.5 to 2 hours of walking outside, and that kind of became a imbalance. However, interestingly enough, those times often passed relatively quickly, and then I enjoyed the walks again, and it became apparent that this was a challenge that I wanted to do for the whole duration of the 365 days, which, by the way, I didn't even plan on. In the beginning, it was like, oh yeah, why not do 30 days? And then it was like, oh yeah, why not do 90 days? And from that to 180, and after 180, I was pretty clear I'm going to do a full year of this challenge, because I just had the numbers to back me up and I wanted to stick this through. This challenge, by the way, also gave me opportunities to see and experience things which I probably would not have otherwise. One of those examples is that in early January, Nicole and I went to a hotel resort for some relaxation days early in the year, and there I also needed to get my 10,000 steps. And if I would not have had that challenge, I would probably not have seen anything of the little village that we were in. And this way, I had 2 days there where I did my 10,000 steps, one where I was walking around the village itself, and then the other day I actually chose a route which led me to a bit of a river and seeing a lot of forest and nature around there. So that was really, really cool. But now that I have finished this challenge and I am now 10 days after the challenge, have I continued? Well, let's check the phone and see how my steps continued. And as you can see, it basically was not nearly as many steps as I usually do or did throughout the last few weeks and months, where you can see it was basically always 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 steps. And now I only had one day in the last 10 days where I had over 10,000 steps with 12,000 steps, which was a walk around the Untreusee here in the area. Now, it's still some days I'm getting those 5,000, 7,000 steps, sometimes 4,000, even naturally just doing my day-to-day activities. I was not even keeping track anymore. I wasn't looking at these statistics. And I'm quite happy to see that I have those steps still in. However, of course, I'm not doing the 10,000 steps every day. I'm not pushing for it anymore. I'm not trying to get that. And I'm also taking off the time that I needed right now to actually be able to just have a couple of days in one row where I don't have to leave the house. I don't have to go those steps. Now, there are conflicting parts about this whole thing, and now taking a little bit of time off. There's one half that says I absolutely earned this after this 1 year of this challenge and continually doing that. But there's also this other part that says you have to continue training in some kind of way because you can't let yourself go. There's this Jocko Willing kind of energy in my head which says you can't stop training because you continuously have to get the work in, get the workout in, and continuously train yourself because the world isn't gonna stop, and so you should not stop either. Now, I can feel both of those things, but right now, the majority of my thoughts are I have earned this, and I also am going to be able to then with more joy jump into another challenge or another routine that I can now build out of this after having taken time off. Now, one main reason why I didn't want to continue the challenge as is also bubbled up. And that was that I now feel like that the last year and this whole 10,000 step challenge was rather, let's name it, inefficient. The main reason why that thought came up is that doing 10,000 steps in normal walking motion, if I have to do it additionally to anything else, will only get me so far. So walking 10,000 steps is about 8 kilometers in distance, takes about 1.5 to 2 hours to do. And that is, of course, a steep investment. However, the benefits that you get on the other side, if you consider the time investment specifically and consider doing a full-blown, full-body workout or doing some kind of a routine, going to a gym or stuff like that. And now let's take the corona situation and the lockdowns and those kind of things out of the equation. If everything were to be open or I had all of the equipment available to myself, it would have been much more efficient and also probably would have changed my body much more if I would have done workouts instead of doing the 10,000 steps every single day. So in that regard, I now feel like this challenge was really inefficient because I could have achieved so much more. Probably could have had a six-pack by now, more muscles everywhere, and those kind of things. So that's one of the main reasons why I also don't want to continue this challenge, because of course it's nice to get this movement in, but there are better ways to spend my time and energy. Then again, however, at the time when I started this challenge, 10,000 steps per day was what I was capable of doing because I don't find that enjoyment or that joy in doing workouts the same way that I do if I do a walk like this. Here, I can go for a walk, listen to an audiobook, or have a conversation with a friend or Nicole, and that is a nice roundup experience. Also, when I come back, I can just continue with whatever I want to be doing. When I do workouts or go for a run, I feel depleted afterwards. And that's probably a sign of not having done enough workouts or not having learned enough about how I should do my workouts so that I don't feel that. I don't know, but that's my next learning experience after having taken a break from this whole process and having no pressure on myself except for getting more work done, which this challenge actually has already helped me do by no longer having to do those 10,000 steps. I feel more productive now than at certain times during this challenge because I can spend my energy on the things that are more important right now, despite having not done any 10,000 steps in that given day. Now, I think that's my wrap up of this experience. Right now, I am at a point where I am not going to put myself into a new challenge. I need a couple of more weeks, maybe days, I don't know, to actually get this processed and also get the work in that I want to get in. And then I can see, once that all kind of levels out again, I want to maybe add some workouts during the week or something like that. And when I do, I might also start documenting those things here on the channel. Now, I think this was a great challenge. If you have done anything like that, or if you have questions about this challenge, please leave those comments in the comment section down below. And with all that said, I hope you have an amazing day, make it your life, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.